In our last video, we followed the fallout, the resignations, the distancing, the names moving quietly out of public view. But something didn't add up. Because while the world thought the story was fading, new investigations were just beginning. Tonight, we dig deeper into the files, the missing records, and the forces that may have shaped what the public was allowed to see. On July 6, 2019, a Gulfstream jet touched down at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, carrying Jeffrey Epstein back from Paris. Federal agents were waiting. To the public, it looked like a shocking comeback of a scandal thought long buried. But to some investigators, this was not an ending. It was an opening. Because power scandals rarely begin when the cameras arrive. They begin years earlier, in private rooms, hidden agreements, and networks ordinary people never see. Palm Beach, Florida, early 2000s. A mansion on El Brillo Way. Local complaints, police reports, rumors moving through elite social circles. Yet despite warning signs, protections appeared to hold. Then came 2008, West Palm Beach, the non-prosecution agreement. An extraordinary legal arrangement that many former prosecutors still describe as almost unimaginable. For some, that was not just leniency. It was evidence of influence. And once people suspect influence shielding misconduct, every later event takes on a darker meaning. When Epstein died in Manhattan's Metropolitan Correctional Center on August 10, 2019, many assumed the story would end with him. Instead, pressure expanded. London erupted after Prince Andrew's November 16, 2019 interview triggered a historic royal crisis. New York courts became battlegrounds over records. Paris reopened lines of inquiry. Washington circles grew quieter. And then something else began. Quiet exits, distancing, retreat. Because experienced investigators know systemic panic rarely announces itself through dramatic confessions. It often appears through behavior. People step down. Organizations create space. Associates vanish from proximity. What looks isolated can become pattern, and patterns are where investigations begin. As litigation continued through 2020 and 2021, and Ghislaine Maxwell's prosecution intensified scrutiny, deeper questions surfaced. Was this merely a criminal scandal, or did it reveal something larger about elite protection structures? That question kept growing. And then came one of the darkest theories haunting the edges of the case. Compromise, leverage, compromat. Some journalists and former intelligence-linked observers asked whether Epstein's world had characteristics resembling compromise operations. Those remain allegations and unresolved theories. But even the possibility of hidden leverage can alter elite behavior. Fear does not require proof, only possibility. And if powerful people feared exposure, resignations and quiet withdrawals may take on a different meaning. Not admissions, but risk management. Then, years after many assumed momentum had faded, the story surged again. January 30th, 2026. Washington, D.C. The Department of Justice released roughly 5 million additional pages tied to Epstein-related records. Millions of pages. Yet instead of closing questions, the release ignited new ones. Critics argued responsive records were still withheld. Researchers claimed key context remained obscured. And observers asked why transparency appeared partial. Then, pressure escalated. By February 2026, members of Congress openly challenged redactions and demanded answers over concealed investigative memoranda. Hearings intensified, questions multiplied, and suddenly the scandal had crossed into something more dangerous. An investigation into the investigation. Then came March 5th, 2026. Reports emerged that a sixth tranche restored tens of thousands of previously missing or removed files. Missing files, restored files. That alone reignited suspicion. Because in corruption narratives, disappearance often attracts as much attention as disclosure. And then perhaps the most consequential development yet. April 23rd, 2026. Washington. The Justice Department's Inspector General launched an audit into how Epstein files were handled, including redactions and possible disclosure failures. A federal watchdog was now examining the process itself, not merely the scandal, the handling of the scandal. That changed everything. Because when oversight institutions begin scrutinizing institutional conduct, a scandal stops being retrospective. It becomes active. Then, on April 28, 2026, another front opened. The Government Accountability Office agreed to review the Justice Department's handling of the files, and a journalist filed suit alleging unlawful withholding of records. 2 new pressure points. One day. And suddenly, a story many assumed frozen in 2019 was moving again. Now ask a harder question. When new oversight investigations emerge years later, what does that suggest about unresolved structures? Because maybe the central mystery was never Epstein himself. Maybe it was the machinery around him. Who negotiated extraordinary outcomes in Florida? Who looked away in Palm Beach? Who moved quietly when scrutiny intensified in London? And who began stepping back as investigations widened in Washington? Those questions endure because scandals involving systems have longer shadows than scandals involving individuals. Individuals fall, systems absorb. And perhaps that is why people keep watching the resignations. Not because every departure signals guilt, but because departures under pressure can reveal invisible pressure. History teaches this. Watergate once looked fragmented. Iran-Contra looked contained. Financial corruption scandals often appeared isolated until they revealed architecture. And some ask whether this story may one day be viewed the same way, as something larger in hindsight than it appeared in real time. Some dismiss these questions as obsession, others call them unfinished accountability. But either way, the fallout continues. In Manhattan court archives, in Palm Beach records, in London, aftershocks, in active oversight probes unfolding in Washington. And through all of it, one unsettling pattern keeps drawing investigators back. Not who appeared in photographs, who stepped away when scrutiny deepened. Because sometimes scandal reveals itself not through what is said publicly, but through who leaves the room. And maybe that is why this story refuses burial. Because some believe we are not watching the end of a scandal, but its aftershocks. And maybe the largest fallout still lies ahead. This has been Untold by AJ. On this channel, we uncover the stories buried beneath headlines: political corruption, hidden power networks, intelligence mysteries, financial scandals, covert operations, geopolitical manipulation, and the untold histories shaping the world behind closed doors. At Untold by AJ, we don't chase noise. We follow patterns. We connect dots others ignore. And we ask uncomfortable questions about power, secrecy, and influence. If this story made you think, leave your perspective in the comments. Do you believe the real scandal was the individuals involved, or the system that may have protected them? Subscribe to Untold by AJ, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue pulling at threads others are afraid to touch. Because some stories don't disappear. They're buried until someone digs.